Good night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Venison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live on the Workers' Rights Network. Now, today a brand new show would have been birthed, and the host of the show is Miss Kezia Allen. And I believe we are here in this country, we would have reached a point that sense, we must come with things with sense and not just opposing for opposing sake. What would have taken place on April 28th is that the country would have spoken, and it is loud and clear that they would have rejected the previous government. Now, in all countries, the resources that we have is finite. And it is important that the government now manage these resources, the resources that we have in the country, to the benefit of the people that exist. Now, without further ado, instead of taking up all this time, I will turn you over to the lovely host, Miss Kezia Allen, that will take us through the whole definition of what governance should be, what is governance, and what we should expect from governance within our country. Ms. Allen, good afternoon to you.
Good evening, Renison. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. It's a pleasure to be logged on with you tonight, this evening, for our Trinbago Social Talkonomics. It's all about governing, Trinidad and Tobago, all about governing TNT. It's been for people that know me, it's been my constant desire to learn. It's been my constant desire to understand as many things as I can, from languages, law, business, negotiations, a broad spectrum of things, because I've been taught growing up that ignorance is bliss. And when you're in that bliss, there's a lot that can go on without you being aware of it. Not that it's unknown to you, but you would be unaware, because understanding exactly what it is, what it's about, and the essence of it tends to be a challenging thing for a lot of people and in a lot of situations. So, as Renison mentioned, and as we all know, elections just ended. We have a new political party in, and it forms our government. And I want you all to understand that I said we have a new political party in forming our government, because countless times we have discussions with individuals. For example, you will have time you hear some people say, there's a couple of things I don't discuss, which would be politics, religion, and they would name a number of things because it becomes controversial, and local parlance, bacchanal, because you have your view, I have mine. But at the end of the day, if we look at the source and the essence of everything that we do, we will understand where it is, what it's supposed to be, and where it is supposed to go. That being said, we need to understand what a government is and what governance is supposed to be in a government. For the last 15 years, in my opinion, as humble as it may be, we've had a lot of ill decisions being made on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of it that they were unaware of, meaning that not understanding the inside details and the essence of it. And when the decisions were made, it was to the detriment of our country, our social detriment, our economical detriment, which is paramount to everything. Because if our economical situation is unstable, everything and anything that we do as a country would reflect that. And that was actually what I've observed in the past couple of years. So we can't blame one government, because in my opinion, in the last 15 years, there were so many different things that happened that we can definitely say not one government was at fault. But what we can say is that whatever government is in now, we are holding you accountable for good governance. And if it is, you don't know what it is, you draw the book, dictionary, thesaurus, whatever you need to get an in-depth meaning of what you are required to do. Because when we choose a party to rule as government, their governance is expected in every ministry that they hold, and allow the citizens of our country, Trinidad and Tobago, as beautiful as it is, the red, white, and black, to do what we do, and then enjoy the essence of it, the spirit of it, let it shine. Yeah. I think the spirit of the nation is so damp right now that a lot of people, even though elections has ended, we have a new government, a lot of people still a bit confused as to what direction to go into. And I think that is simply because we don't understand, or some of us do not understand, where government starts and where governance ends. So we can get into it a bit. I just want to, we're going to share some info as basic as it would be so that we'll understand where things connect. So that when you are looking at the situation through different lenses, you can analyze it better. Yeah? So we have all our political parties. Everyone would have known, they would have chosen their colors, they would have rallied, they would have done whatever they needed to do. That group of individuals would have been voted in. They would have formed our government, sworn in to be the authorities of all the ministries that we have, respectively. So they would now be the decision makers of the men and women, the citizenry of our country. Yeah? They will be authorities. For example, as basic as it may be, you would have telecommunication, you'd have TNTech, you would have institutions, yeah, for example, the court systems. You would have the functional ones. So you would have the lawmakers, policy implementers, and the administrators. So that is what a government will entail. This is what, when a government is chosen and instituted, this is what they're about. This is what you look for, their authorities, their institutions, and their functions. Now we want to tie governance into that, because you have a role and function as a minister, as an MP. You'd have a role and function. That is your responsibility to not just your constituency, but to each individual in the country. Yeah. So, governance. So, we're going to look at the broader concept that will tie in the process that looks at the processes, which is everything they do on a daily basis, the actors, which are all the persons responsible for whatever task, whatever operations, and the outcome, which will be the reports, the actual findings, the actual developments that each ministry will be responsible for. Yeah, because it's very important to understand that our government ministries play a crucial role in building a stronger Trinbago for all of us. They are the mechanisms, the engine behind everything that will power the nation. So you can't drive your car if you don't have your key to start that engine and make movements. So we have to look at what their contribution is and how it will affect us, how it would affect the country, our economical standing, our social standing. So I'm just going to read just a small piece of how governance and government work together. So government is the key component of governance. While the government provides formal structure and legal authorities, governance is the overall framework within which the government operates and interacts with other actors. And the actors in this particular situation is all the ministers from all the ministries, all of their decisions that contribute to the other ministries. How does it work? Ministry of Finance is connected to all ministries. Ministry of Health, they have a contribution to different divisions, different authorities. It's that reflection. The government uses its legislative power to create laws. So you can't tell me that if it's within your power to create laws, that it's a challenge for you to develop the policies and procedures necessary to keep our country safe, our country clean, our country attractive. Because that is one of our main issues at this time. This current period of time, we struggle to be attractive to the international market. We struggle to be attractive to the regional market because there is nothing of substance that's coming from us at this time. But it's not impossible to do. It's not impossible to regain because we were looking very attractive a few years back.
We've just completed our second.
So it's highly challenging to understand why we've had governments that have been failing us. But the buck has to stop here. You nip it in the bud simply because we cannot allow ill actions of governments to break down the fabric created by the ancestors, created by our champions. We have so many, to come and destroy that with selfish and biased thinking. And I think it's important that we understand that if we stand for nothing, we'll fall for anything. It is not about politics and party. It's about government and governance. Good government, good governance. So there's a number of things that we be seeing in the media. And in my opinion, it's nitpicking. It's nitpicking at things that's not important and imperative to the well-being of the nation's development. We have too many things going on. We have a high crime rate. On the international market, in the international forum, we are not looking good. There's not enough social media management that is recreating that narrative. Because in many individuals' mind, when they hear of Trinidad and Tobago, where we used to be the land of calypso, soca, pan, carnival, the first thing they think of is crime. So that's a narrative that has to be broken. Because each ministry would have KPIs. And those KPIs are key performance indicators. It tells me if you are performing to the measures, the level, the standards that would reflect positive change and positive impact for the country. So we have to look at things that
Cousin,
relates
good
to the
afternoon to
efficiency and the
everybody in the
effectiveness
audience.
of the government that we have in power. And I need everyone to understand it doesn't matter what party is in it. Keep that to the forefront of your mind because it doesn't matter what party is in. It matters what governance protocol they follow and ensure that they perform best practices as a government. So we have to look at their efficiency and their effectiveness in managing our budgets, delivery of services, the timely delivery of those services. Yeah. So the things that they said they do, they need to assess it, come up with a plan, a projection, and execute it. It cannot just be empty promises. It can't just be talk. The citizens have to be satisfied. It doesn't have to be that you do a lot. Quantity don't matter, but quality does. It's the difference between you buying a shoes for $10 and as the rain start to fall and you step in water, you walk right out to the soles of it. As to you spending just a little more for something that will last a little better. Or let's say, for example, reinforcing the sole of that $10 shoes so that when you step in water, you could keep it moving. And I think that is one of the main things that we fail to understand. It's not quantity, it's quality. The policies that they implement and the rates of it. And they need to make good decisions regarding policies. They have to be very anal, very sound, and very thorough. And we need to do all of this without the high level of bureaucracy. You see that back and forth bantering is UNC, is PNM, is this, is that. No, it's government and it's governance and it's us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that have to strike a change and let them know we loaned you the power. And that paradigm has to shift when we are not comfortable or not happy with the things that they are doing, the things that don't benefit us. Because they paint such elaborate pictures for us, so colorful and so pretty, during all of their rallies and meetings. But when it's time to put action to your words, you hear excuses for lack of a vision, a mission, or a plan on how it's going to happen. And it's important that we pay close attention to that factor because it's going to be consistent. It's going to be daily. Little things that's going to add up to distract us that may not make sense in the long run. We're also going to be looking at sector-specific outcomes. So let's say, for example, they're indicating that they're going to have a drive that's going to focus on education. Forgive me. I thought I took the volume off of my phone, but forgive me.
No problem, no problem. I forgive you, I forgive you.
Now you could say things too. You could just ask me questions because I mean it will help the flow better than me just reading off of the idea generations that I've had, things that I've proposed to different authorities, etc. That will help.
No, well,
But
I would have left here because, eyes are blabber, mouth I just be always here, always,
Well, they have me
divulging
feeling,
what
blah,
people
blah, blah.
have seen in the public, and making sure that connection between government and citizen is maintained. No matter some of the people outside here, Miss Allen, some of them does feel that because we consistently talk about a particular topic, they feel that the bracket us, meaning that all right, we is this and we is that, and anytime we go outside of that perimeter, they tend to say, "I thought you was this," or "I thought you was that." You see, the thing about it is this: I would have learned something within the past year that accountability in governance is the single most important thing. And if we leave that alone, if we forbid to go down that road, what happens is that we tend to have an out of control government coming into the future. And that is something that you're seeing that the margin times started to get more stiff. The oil prices are dropping and the world is evolving. And we must make better use of the resources that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago. Otherwise, we could end up south very fast.
And we're on a fast train to that south side.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. And it bothers me because there are a lot of people saying that they are patriotic. And at this point in time, when you make a comment about an infringement that is taking place now within the public domain, they say, "Hey, why you're against the UNC, you're against the minister that now getting power." But no, we must be critical in what we are doing. We must be the watchdog of our democracy. That constitution is not for one person or one class of person. That constitution that governs Trinidad and Tobago is for all of us. And we have a responsibility, regardless that the politicians and them does not recognize it. But coming to that 5 years, we will see all the eagles that flying high up in up in the sky coming to roost on election day. When that bell call, they come and they canvass, they beg. Because I was one of the person that would have been behind the previous administration, together with figures like Roberta Ma, that would have been pushing for referendum in which the people would have had a say on things that is taking place within their country. And you know that was shortchanged. We only have election day in Trinidad and Tobago, and this is what we have here. That the court of public opinion, a matter of fact, we're intelligent people as yourself, Miss Kezia. I mean, see that. I mean, you should speak out on things that is taking place within your country. So as I say, as a blabber about, so I sending back the ball in your quarters.
It was it was nice for you to mention. A lot of us say that we're patriotic,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of us are not patriotic to country.
True.
Many of us are patriotic to red or yellow. They're not patriotic to country where we would see where and when a government is not performing and identify where their key performance indicators are.
Mm-hmm.
Address the issues before they get to the end of the road, where everybody panting, you have no water, and you're out of breath. We need to understand that the patriotism that we need to practice must be to country. Because if this country has nothing, we are nowhere. We'd be worse than Venezuela. We'd be worse than, I can't say Guyana because Guyana looking really good right now. Really, really good.
And the coasting on we right about now too.
Hello, they're showing up bad. They're showing up bad.
Jack Jack
So we need
Jack
to
Dio,
understand.
every time you say something, Jack Dio answer. So yeah, I'm really going down a bad road.
Yeah, yeah. And when you have international forums like in the UK where they're saying that we had bad management, we mismanaged our money, we weren't working the country, we give away what was important to our survival. So let's say if you were to put it in terms of generational wealth, you just give away your inheritance. So now you're down to nothing. These are the things that are being said in the international forums. They're hitting us hard with the negativity. There's no support or encouragement to get up. Like many of them wanted to see us down. And instead of banding together and understand it's not about people, it's not about party, it is about government and governance. In my humble opinion, I think the only two people that got that right were Manning and Basdio Pandey. The only two political leaders, in my opinion, that ever got that right. Because in Parliament, they will be at it. And I personally myself have seen both Mr. Manning and Mr. Basdio Pandey sitting down and having a drink, laughing and talking. I don't know when we will get that it's not about party. It don't matter who's in there. It matters what they do when they're in there. And that is where governance is. Government is that party you will vote for, that you have that preference to, based on the things that they put forward in their manifesto or the promises they've made. But when they get in, how they do it, what they do is also or only the only thing that's important. It's absolutely the only thing. And if we look at it narrowly, we have to iron this out. We have to iron it out that the people understand that there is a difference. There's a difference between a government, there's a difference between governance. We have to admit that politics and party has ended and we are ready to transform. It's not about what I can get. Because if the country has nothing, nobody can get nothing.
True. Because just to read some of the comments, Miss Allen.
Sure.
Mr. Game Hub say, what did your previous government did to help anyone more than helping themselves, man?
What's the name of the commenter?
Game Hub. He said, what did your government do? I mean, just to break it down, I mean, I was wondering if he was a PNM or a UNC. I just know that he is a PNM at Game Hub. Now tell me, what did your previous government do? So tell me what your government would have done.
Well, the sad thing is Game Hub is misinformed because I have never been one for party. I've always been one for positive impact of good government and good governance. It doesn't matter what color they wear. It has no bearing on what their background, ethnicity, or any of these things are to me. When I can travel and go to the various countries in the different conventions and conferences that I've been to, and I hear positive things about my country, I am proud. So he's asking, what did my government do? But we have, if it is we're looking at what's government, I would claim all the governments. But then I'll say, what did I do when the government did not do what they were supposed to do? And what did he do? Did he talk about what they were doing that weren't in the best interest of the population? Because I have always stood on the premise that the last administration, I've said it once, I've said it twice, they started off, some of them, I think, with good intentions. And somewhere along that path, they lost their way. They lost their way, and the level of arrogance that took over was the worst thing that we could have accepted or allowed in a government, because it wasn't a minister anymore running. It was just pure arrogance, and it was across the board. Blatant disregard for the individuals of the citizens, blatant disregard for the public servants. So I am not claiming a government unless that government does what they are supposed to do, following the guidelines of good governance. So
Yeah,
if I can answer.
yeah, well, I hope that answer your question, because you know you have been in the chat. A matter of fact, I think we should open the phone line.
We can.
I know you're a little busy today, and you know the next comment he would have made is that this country is under a serious economic pressure, and this present government must implement some sort of tax to generate. You know, and I believe so too.
Justo, can can I just interject on that tax thing?
Go right ahead.
If you recommending that they implement some sort of tax, where is his comment regarding the removal of property tax, where in just about every country in the world, property tax is the number one income of any government? When you remove property tax, which they had done in prior years, which would have been our stack house income. So like times like this now, where it's hard, we have no oil, no access to the pitch and all of that, we would have then had a reserve income from the taxes to help bail us out now. But for the number of years that they avoided that, why ask for some type of tax if it is only against a lot of the tax measures that were implemented?
So what you are saying is then that some of the tax, the government now would have done themselves an injustice by removing the tax completely. Because to be quite honest, guys, yeah, be real with you, I'm not subscribing to that entire thing with this property tax. I find the assessment of it, I find I'm paying too much then. I want to know by what measure this property tax that they quantify this thing at. I mean, some people paying astronomical figures at as $1,800, some $4,000 in terms of property tax, and I'm saying, wow, what is going on here? I mean,
but we have to understand what are the guidelines in which they are using to determine how much an individual pay. And I think that is important to ask when they are coming to you. What are they looking for, or what are they looking at to determine what you pay? I think that is important. But what I can tell you is that there are other countries in the world where you don't even have a property. You live in an apartment, rented at that, and you have tax to pay for a rented apartment. Because by all means, the governments demand their money. So when we have a property that we have a problem paying for, explain to me why other countries in the world, they don't even have ownership of an apartment but renting, and taxes still charged. So we still have it very easy here. And if our government, meaning, let me change that, if the country is not working, which is our current situation, this country has not been working for a very long time. And we all know if an individual is not working, what happens to their household? The standard of living that you're accustomed to either changes drastically, or you do something illegal to maintain it. So I need to understand what are we going to do, because there are other things. For example, in my opinion, if they had said a Caroni 1975 by any other name, 1965, whatever year it was, but Caroni, the sugar industry, they want to reinvest into that industry. Trust me, it would work in favor for our domestic use. It will also work in favor for our regional use, because I am pretty sure there's a lot of individuals that have no idea what our import on sugar is when we used to export sugar. And it's very high. We use a lot of sugar. So imagine if we were to revamp that industry, and it could start small. It could start small and grow to get to a point of sustainability. Maybe at some point in time in the future, we will get back a source of oil that we had back a couple years ago, and would be able to reposition ourselves better. But in the meantime, the things that we have to do are the little things that's going to get us there bit by bit. And that is what people are not looking at. The promises you've made, if the country is not working, how are you going to fulfill it?
Watcha, you would have said something and it make me run into our search engine here on this side here. And Trinidad and Tobago import bill on sugar, specifically raw sugar, was about US 45.9 million dollars
Yeah.
in 2022.
Imagine if that is our export, because that's what we bring in for ourselves. Imagine if we were supplying ourselves and exporting twice times that. That's the US dollar right there from our CARICOM counterparts.
And
Because they
wait. You know, that was, in looking at the statistics here, right? That was in 2022. Now,
okay, that,
in
and
2023,
we were in COVID that time.
and listen, in 2023 was 91.15 million, and in 2020, yeah, and in 2024, well, it dropped in 2024. It reached back down to about $81.9 million. Overall sugar import bills of the broader food import bill, which vary in high food imports, reach up to 7.3 billion TT dollars in recent years.
Yeah. So imagine that. And there is opportunity for us to reopen that industry. When the industry was closed by the then PNM government, the then UNC government said they were going to reopen it. Look at how many years passed. Those same lands were given to the workers, the Caroni workers, with cane on it, that could have very well been used to revamp that industry. So again, we would have had a reserve, because what we don't understand is that a good business matrix represents the same elements of a good government matrix. You have your stars, you have your cash cows, you have your dogs and your problem child. If you look up that matrix and Google tailoring it to a government economic processor, it will break down for you, identifying your key items and sectioning it based on what they offer you. We have no oil. Back then, that was our star. We had pitch as our cash cow. They removed the cane, i.e. sugar, and I would say tourism, and there are a couple other things under the manufacturing industry and for other things that we do that would fall under those categories. But when the governments that we have, any one of them, going to understand that we have to in order to start, we have to start somewhere, even if it is small, even if it is as small as recycling, because a lot of the other islands do not have the resources that we still do have, where we can even recycle on their behalf and generate income. Again, that would be a US dollar reserve income that would be able to do something somewhere, sometime in the future. But again, we're still thinking politics and party.
And what China would have opened up my eye to this whole entire thing here. If we spend so much of money on sugar, if we spend so much of money on sugar in Trinidad and Tobago, why it is we don't take stride as to open that industry up, that we can be able to have, you know, cut down on the bill a matter for.
Because all the governments that have came in since then, in my opinion, were selfish and self-centered. Their hands were in cookie jars, and they were trying to grab what they can get, as opposed to watching what we needed to keep our country afloat, keep us profitable, keep us sustainable. Because it doesn't, let me tell you, sugar cane is a short crop. This system could easily be revamped and quickly restarted by simply encouraging people to grow a patch of sugar cane in their yards. You bring it into the factory, we weigh it, we pay you for it. So that is income one for some citizens who may be challenged by income. And it ain't nothing. One of the crops that I don't ever see people that have to do anything for, and it grows, is sugarcane. And then you have the massive fields. We have so many lands that are being underutilized or unutilized, so that we can plant in even bigger portions and restart that industry. It can be facilitated in two ways. You have citizens planting on their own, and then you have fields like we did back then, and you bring it all together. So what you're going to tell me is your plan if the simplest things that are at your fingertips are not being considered and not being engineered in order for it to start operating. This is where I'm indicating that governance is where the problem comes in. Without proper governance that we have had for the past 15 years, we've had that no, I don't even know the words to use to explain it, but we've had a problem with underperformance regarding good governance in this country. And everybody is still looking at party and politics and not looking at the figures. You read out the figures there. During COVID, still in 2022, the country still was under some level of lockdown and stuff. And look at how much sugar we used then. I'm sure if you pull the statistics regarding 2020, 2021, it is no less shy than from that number you just read there.
Yeah, because
So how
I mean, in 2022 it was 45 million, and it keep on jumping, and it's showing a direct correlation with diabetes as well. I mean, we have these, what do they call it? These non-communicable uh, diseases that, that is pervasive in society, and we are seeing our intake on sugars. I mean, this is not a health program, but this is just to show the figures as to how we could subsidize on certain things that is taking place within Trinidad and Tobago. Now, just to talk about it a little bit, our main lifeline in Trinidad and Tobago is the oil and gas sector. and it have been doing so well for so long, we would have continually focused on that. Not I ain't shying away from what I would have said and seen in the comments there. There are oil companies that is finding oil and not declared it to the government. I would have worked with our old company and they would have done just that. I ain't gonna call the name here. But I don't think the extraction of these oil and them, what it would have cost to extract it, and the cost of extracting it, and when they would have tallied it up, it would not make no sense. So in some instances, they cap these oil and them. They know it are oil, but they don't have the amount that they could really make a profit. That is what would have taken place. And some of you outside there think, hey, they're hiding oil. But no, sometimes the candle costs more than the grape.
Really. Mm-hmm.
Now,
And this is what I'm referring to, the numbers,
mm-hmm.
because when you crunch numbers, you will be able to tell that the candle is costing more than the funeral. And no good business module, no good economical module would allow you to only focus on one core item, because it's a natural resource and these things do run out. And when they don't run out, just like what happened, it shifts. It shifts. We're no longer getting, because Guyana is pumping. And because Guyana started to pump, that resource ain't even reaching our waters anymore. So it's in between Venezuela and Guyana. So tell me how, in the last 15 years, if any of the governments that we had knew, I don't want to use bad word here, or nothing that may cause them to block our video. But how can you tell me you can't tell your front from your back? How? It don't make logical sense that you there and you're sitting. Imagine if you are going to a concert. Let me put it in layman too. You're going to a concert, you have general admissions ticket. You're quite in the back and you're short like 2 feet high. You ain't going and see nothing. So you ain't know what going on in VIP, you ain't know what going on the stage, you're just hearing what going on and you could get trampled. That is us, the public, the citizens. The government have the VIP position. They can see the things we can't see. Obviously, they have to share it with us. But when they are seeing the things we can't see, they are holding back what they share with us, whether for their own profit or just total avoidance. If they think it's something that is too hard, because let me tell you, 9 out of 10 times the decisions they make not to do something is not because it can't be done or no. It's because they don't want to work as hard to achieve what it needs to what we need to have done to achieve the goals that we have to get. That is 9 out of 10 times the problem, that they actually doing what it takes to get us there is the problem. Because they're let me put it this way too. They are afraid of the failure, the possible level of failure and blame game. So if they try something and it don't work and the public kick up, they don't want to be the one that takes the bad name. And the 1 or 2 administrations or governments that decide they want to take the bad name, they're in it for the long haul. They're in it because they're in it for country and not just for self. And they're willing to do what it takes to grow our economy, sustain our economy, then we see improvements. But a lot of what we have been dealing with for the past 15 years is a lack of dedication and willingness to actually work. To the point that it was their mindset that they crippled the economy to that same position. They themselves didn't want to work. And then on top of that, not working, they also did not work the country. We didn't work as much in the manufacturing industry. We didn't work as much on the oil industry. We didn't work in the pitch industry. We didn't work in revamping the sugarcane industry for sugar. There's a lot of things we didn't do. all because they did not want to be the ones to carry the torch. And if it burn up and everything, they are the ones to blame.
So what you are saying, then the governments are the real manipulators at the country there.
Listen to me. they are being manipulated
Okay.
by their 1%. And I said their 1% because do not get it twisted in no form or fashion that they all don't have their 1%. And when the 1% are the ones that are the driving forces, they take out the 99% when it profits. Because if I have to tell you what to do, you have to pay me for it. It's like I buy a lotto ticket for you, but when you win, the winnings is mine.
Now,
It doesn't make sense.
I seen somebody else would have said. I don't know if you've seen the comments on your side, but
Unfortunately, I'm not.
right. So this PNM loving woman is saying that she knows of the countries where you pay property tax even though you didn't have your own property. My. So again, in this post here, you are being labeled as a PNM loving person. I hear echoes of honors. Echoes of honors. I see I have a lot of posts here. Miss, we have the money to diversify the economy long time, but who was in power over 80% of the time? Now the PNM, yes, Mr. Echo, the PNM was there. But as there is where I was making the point, a matter of fact. There is something that I call stage migration. How to put it across is this. Let me say you have two business, Ms. Kezia, right? One business is doing more than one, better than one. You're getting a turnover of 150%. And the next business not doing so well. And there's a stage migration is when you quantify the entire two business and saying, all right, I am doing well overall. When there are shortfalls on the another business where they may be, we're just breaking even in just one. And that is what have been going on in Trinidad for quite some time. We have been doing very well
Exactly.
in certain aspect, and we would have take that figure and say, all right, Trinidad is doing well, but well where? And if we was investigating as to well where, if we was asking these questions, other parts of Trinidad or other developments in Trinidad would have been developed to a point that we would have been at a more better place. Take for example, when we think about things like agriculture, I mean, we just think about a man by a table outside selling mangoes and thing on a table. But when you think about agriculture in places like Canada and stuff that is feeding the world, you are thinking about, hey, that man is a millionaire. Because you
Let me
leave from
tell you
other
this.
countries.
Just to stick a pin where you are, I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to Massey, Hilo, and all the other supermarkets, the fruits that we eat, meaning the fruits that resemble local produce, the majority of them does not come from here. On a weekly basis, the fruits, the sapodilla, the sour sop, the sugar apple, the mango, Julie mango, and imperial, which is a bigger mango, some starch, does not even come from Trinidad and Tobago. As you mentioned, agriculture on a small scale here and in countries where it's done on a larger scale. And because we have the potential to do so much more, we could be the one that's sending out to other countries. And we ain't even doing that. That's US dollar missing. And just to answer the commenter, I vote for any party that makes sense. And anyone that knew or interacted with me within the last months regarding what I thought about the political forum right now, and Renison, you know that I would have shared my expressions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am never for a party especially if that party does not have a plan and a process. So if today I wear yellow, tomorrow I wear red, the next day I wear green, meaning in the sequence of years required for a government to come in and go, I wear the color that represents good governance, patriotism to understanding that we are for country. Because when, and I would use this out of the UNC slogan, when UNC win, everybody wins. Well, I say when the right government does what they are supposed to do, when that government wins acquisitions, wins profit, wins income, I would support those. And then I say we all win. So if it is assumed that I am patriotic to a particular party, if you know anybody that knows me, ask them that question. And they would share what I would have discussed with them. It's time to stop about party. Whichever party is in for government, we hold them accountable for good governance. That is what this forum is about. That is what this topic is about. Whatever they say they're going to do, we should have done it in the last administration. We should have done it 15 years ago, but we didn't do it. And if you are a person regarding statistics and you want the maths, Google it. Google, because Renison, you just indicated and showed that it is at your fingertips to get the info that you want. Google it to see what did Trinidad and Tobago do since 2015 to earn income and generate revenue. And when the commenters can answer those questions, they will understand that my problem is not for the recent government. My problem is for the governments that were in from the last 15 years that did nothing to position us in a better place. You have people in Trinidad and Tobago on minimum wage. Let me explain this to you. Minimum wage is designed for the service industry. Reason being, your income is undetermined because you'll have peak seasons and off seasons. So when you have peak seasons, you get more. When it's off season, you get less. You have people in this country only working for minimum wage, $3,000 something, if that's what it is, because I don't know. I've never sat down and calculated, simply because I know I can't live on minimum wage. However, imagine people trying to make ends meet on minimum wage. All the companies, the companies in Port of Spain, the ones in the malls, this one, that one, they're not paying commission, or because they want the profits for themselves. When the government lets the Ministry of Labor come down on companies like that to do the right thing, you pay the minimum wage because it's a allowance for you to pay your employees based on what you earn, and you give them their commission based on their performance or their incentives. It